Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. First news is Florian Wirtz could hold key to Dominik Szoboszlai move as Liverpool consider options. Second news is Harry Wilson interest, Curtis Jones future and Alexis McAllister exit, Liverpool questions answered, now details. First news is Florian Wirtz could hold key to Dominik Szoboszlai move as Liverpool consider options. It wasn't just on the pitch, where fortune eventually favoured Liverpool at the weekend. Even when handed an injury blow ahead of kick-off at Nottingham Forest, when Florian Wirtz was forced to withdraw, Arne Slot believes there was at least one aspect in which his team were a little bit lucky. If there was an injury, then the best thing that could have happened was it was in midfield, because for the rest we struggle a bit more, admitted the Reds boss. Speaking after the game, Slot was hopeful Wirtz would be fit enough to be available for Saturday's Premier League clash at home to West Ham United. Liverpool's options are likely to be bolstered further by the return of Jeremy Frimpong after almost a month out with a groin problem. But even if Frimpong is unable to step straight into the starting lineup, that Dominik Szoboszlai was swiftly moved out of the emergency right-back role. He again started in at Forest on Sunday. Underline Slot perhaps now prefers alternatives, with Curtis Jones and the fit-again Joe Gomez occupying the position for the remainder of the game at the City ground. Szoboszlai was moved into a defensive midfield role alongside Ryan Gravenberch, which saw Alexis McAllister pushed forward into the number 10 role, from which he scored Liverpool's dramatic late winner. But Wirtz's likely recovery for Saturday means Slot has an issue where best to employ his four main midfielders. The key is perhaps where the Reds boss believes his player of the season Szoboszlai is best suited for each particular game. Against Forest, it swiftly became apparent the defensive shield was missing a player of his physicality and strength. The Hungary international, though, has only started 7 games this campaign as part of the double pivot, although he can claim 2 goals and an assist from his last 4 outings in the position. Of those outings, the most regular midfielder partnership was with McAllister to his left and Wirtz as the number 10, which was used 3 times. For comparison, Szoboszlai has started 7 games at right-back, 8 on the right wing, 4 ostensibly as a regular central midfielder and 10 as the most attacking player in the engine room. Wirtz, although having already proven more than capable of occupying either flank, has undoubtedly been preferred as number 10 by Slot, with 19 of the 116 million man's 29 starts coming in the position. While they have started together on 27 occasions this season, a regular midfield triumvirate in which both Wirtz and Szoboszlai have lined up has happened only 6 times this season, the most recent of which was the FA Cup win over Brighton less than a fortnight ago. With Liverpool hopping for a busy end to the season, Slot will need as many personnel and as much tactical variety as possible at his disposal. But Wirtz as the number 10 and Szoboszlai as one of the players in behind is a combination of which the surface is still only being scratched. It could give Liverpool a new dimension when required during the closing months. Second news is Harry Wilson interest, Curtis Jones future and Alexis McAllister exit, Liverpool questions answered. The season is about to enter the final straight, and while it hasn't panned out quite as supporters would have hoped so far, Arne Slot's side still have plenty to play for between now and the end of May. Champions League qualification may be the priority, but the Reds will be keen on making inroads in this campaign's competition while also progressing in the FA Cup, with a 5th-round clash to come at Wolves next week. Liverpool already have 2 high-profile right-backs in Jeremy Frimpong and Connor Bradley, and a number of players who can cover successfully in the position, so there was absolutely no chance they were going to make a move for another one in the January window. As for Gehay, that would have depended on the player agreeing as well, which clearly he wasn't minded to. Liverpool were happy to wait for Gehay and sign him for nothing at the end of the season, which in truth Crystal Palace were probably expecting. But nobody envisaged the centre-back injury crisis at Manchester City in January, which was the ideal timing for the Moneybags' Etihad side to make a permanent offer for the player that he simply found too good to turn down financially and from a footballing perspective. Had City's injury woes arrived this month, it would have been interesting to see if they'd have gone for Gehay still in the summer. That, though, is all ifs and buts. The reality is what happened. And Liverpool have signed Jeremy Jacquet for the summer already, so clearly new centre-back was a position that needed strengthening. Chris asks, any news on Anthony Gordon rumours? That depends on what the rumours are. If they are ones pertaining to interest in the player from Liverpool, that has certainly been the case in the past. But the prospect of Newcastle United selling anyone to the Reds in the foreseeable future appears as remote as, well, everyone agreeing VAR is a fine introduction and continues to work flawlessly. David asks, do you think this is Alexis Mac Allister's last season at the club? I've long had a hunch that Mac Allister will leave at the end of the season, with Real Madrid his next destination. However, the player's form this campaign has been less than anyone would have wanted and has seen such talk largely dissipate. But this is a World Cup year, and if Mac Allister has a good one with Argentina, there's every chance Real will be sniffing around him, and with 2 years left on his contract, if a new deal isn't agreed, then Liverpool would have a decision to make should a big money offer come in. I would rather Mac Allister didn't leave, though. At his best, he is a fantastic player and in the long term could link very well with Florian Wirtz. He'd be a difficult one to replace. Jay asks, reports from Italy say Juventus could be interested in Alisson Becker. Do you think he could leave? Difficult. Alisson remains an excellent shot stopper and the world's best at one-on-ones, but there's no doubt he has become a little more tentative with distribution with his feet, which is understandable given his continual hamstring problems. That is a bit of an issue for a Liverpool team that likes to play out from the back, and it's noticeable the Brazilian doesn't regularly take the goal kicks these days. Georgi Mamardashvili has clearly been brought in with one eye on him being Alisson's long-term replacement and has already shown he's more than capable. But he isn't quite operating in the same rarefied air as Alisson at present. As with Alexis Mac Allister and Mohamed Salah, if Liverpool receive a big offer for Alisson in the summer, then they'll have some thinking to do. I'd rather he stayed, though, at least for 1 more year. Davy Boy asks, Curtis Jones, not for me. He disappears, can't tackle, gives a pass but doesn't look for the return, too long on the ball. Well, that's a statement rather than a question, and I have to disagree. Jones is an excellent footballer and Liverpool are probably the best team for his talents to flourish, although he also has the makings of a Manchester City player also. Do his attributes work better in the Champions League and at international level compared to the less technical and more physically demanding Premier